It was nice to share fun, uplifting and more importantly, lightning royal news, isn't it? You know, we often bring you very dark news at times here on the channel simply about the British monarchy because there's always seemingly some scandal engulfing one or more of them, aren't they? I think that's a little bit like life. It makes us glad to be normal, doesn't it? You and I, do you know what I'm saying? Although I'm still fizzing over that Quality Street thing, the way they've taken those sweets out that I like. Don't you get annoyed with that? There's another one looming now as well with celebrations. Apparently they're not putting bounty bars in there anymore, cutting down on those. You don't know if it's a PR stunt to remind you that of course the tins are back out on sale in time for Christmas. But either way, of course, it's fans, isn't it? If we like it, they shouldn't mess about with it, should they? A little bit like Catherine, our beautiful Princess of Wales. Now, what I like about Catherine is really she's come into her own, particularly in the last few months. Of course, it's been really difficult for her, as we've detailed on the channel. You know, she took naturally our late monarch's death very, very hard, as so many of them did. But you know, you have to say bravo to the fact that they carry on. That is the role, you know. It's strange, isn't it, when you think about it, because the minute the monarch dies, then basically the next in line just has to click into gear, as we saw so easily for, of course, King Charles. He must have found it incredibly difficult, but there he was, stiff upper lip, marching forward and doing so much in that very busy week up until, of course, the state funeral of the late monarch. But it's nice to know, isn't it, that Catherine is keeping on many of those nice royal traditions, including this one. And as ever, let me explain. As you know, when the monarch went out and about visiting people, you know, what I liked about the fact was in later years she got bright colours because, as she pointed out, you shrink a bit and people can't see you. A nice thing to say, isn't it? But it's true, isn't it, you know, when you think about it. So her dresser, Angela Kelly, sort of came up with this idea of, well, you know, let's get bright colours, so wherever you are, people will spot you. And this was, of course, taken also to the headgear, the hats, which people adored. I'd love to know what happened to all of those things, wouldn't you? I hope they're going to go on a display at some point. But now, the makers of these very nice umbrellas, Fultons, which is still very, very much in demand, all thanks to Catherine now. This is what happened. You will notice, of course, when our late monarch was seen with a clear see-through Fulton brolly, that was see-through so that people could see it in all weathers, even if it was pouring down. But they were also trimmed with the right colour of what the monarch was wearing. And apparently this is a tradition that the Princess of Wales, Catherine, is going to carry forward. What you do every few months is, particularly on big royal events, you send forward the pieces of cloth material that you feel you're going to be wearing, or indeed have clothes made to wear out of, and then they match that to the lining of the brolly, you know, the bird cage as they call it. Incredible, isn't it, when you think such detail? And it's nice to be able to report that apparently Catherine is going to keep on this tradition because she thought that was a brilliant idea by the monarch to carry forward, so that people, even if they'd been waiting out in terrible storms, bad weather, whatever, she would step out, greet the crowd, and they could still see her. Something, as I say, that Catherine is planning to carry on, well, now forever, until no doubt one day she becomes queen, and then of course will do exactly as our late monarch did too. Wonderful, wonderful gesture, I'm sure you'll all agree. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.